ENCOLAWS lawyer, patent trademark attorneys, investment consultants would like to wish you a productive day and update you on our legal document updates week 4th March 2023 with the following content: rescheduling principal loans, interest to tackle difficulties of real estate enterprises. These are the directives of the government at Resolution No. 33 ENCOLAWS on a number of solutions to remove difficulties for and promote safe, healthy, sustainable development of the real estate market. In particular, the government requires to create of conditions for enterprises, home buyers, and investors to quickly access credit sources in order to remove difficulties in credit sources, bonds, and investment funds. To clear hurdles in capital flows for the real estate market, contributing to increasing market liquidity. Within that, the suitable measures for enterprises tackling with difficulties are rescheduling principal loans, interest, restructuring debt groups, focusing on feasible projects and loan plans, customers with financial capacity, and ability to repay debts in full and on time, giving priority to residential housing projects that meet the real needs of the people, prove effective, and have good liquidity, such as social housing, renovation of old apartments, offices for lease, real estate for production, industry, tourism. Taking appropriate and effective measures to reduce lending interest rates and support the real estate market. The State Bank of Vietnam shall be responsible for the dossier of the draft law on credit institutions amended. At the same time, implement monetary policy firmly, proactively, flexibly, effectively, and reasonably increasing credit, ensuring liquidity for the banking system in all circumstances, and meeting capital needs for the economy. Consider and direct credit institutions to review and classify real estate projects in order to take appropriate handling measures, such as rescheduling of principal. Assume the prime responsibility for implementing the credit program of about 120,000 billion to direct commercial banks to grant loans for investors and buyers of houses of social housing projects, projects of workers' houses, and projects of renovation and rebuilding of old apartment buildings with interest rates during the preferential period 1.52. Direct credit institutions to assess the production and business situation of enterprises, the potential of each project, and the real estate segment so as to consider and adjust lending conditions without applying the same policies to projects with risk. Consider and appropriately adjust risk coefficients for different real estate segments. Review regulations relating to lending and investment in corporate bonds for synchronization and conformity with the government's policy on the development of the corporate bond market. Amend the regulations regarding investment of state capital. On March 17, 2023, the Ministry of Finance issues Circular No. 16/2023, TT on amending and supplementing regarding the investment of state capital in enterprises. Accordingly, Circular 16/2023 TT-BTC amending, supplementing a number of articles of Circular No. 36/2021 BTE as follows: amend the adjustment of charter capital at the enterprise, amend the principles, competent authority to decide and transfer method of state capital at joint stock companies, limited liability companies with 2 or more members, amend the principles, competent authority to decide and transfer method of state capital at state enterprises that the state holds 100% of charter capital, supplement the regulations on the distribution of profits at joint stock companies, limited liability companies with 2 or more members which have state shares and capital contribution, amend the regulations on financial statements, forms, submission time, and receiving places for reports, supplement regulations that the date of announcing auction results is the date of informing auction results. Replace Appendix 3, which is issued with Circular No. 36/2021. TT another appendix. Circular No. 16/2023. TT takes effect on May 8, 2023. Reduce the maximum short-term loan interest rate in 2023. On March 14, 2023, the State Bank of Vietnam issues the decision No. 314 ENCOLAWS on the maximum short-term loan interest rate in Vietnamese dong. The State Bank of Vietnam changes the maximum short-term loan interest rate in Vietnam dong as follows. The credit institutions and foreign bank branches, except for people's credit funds and microfinancial institutions, shall apply the maximum short-term loan interest rate in Vine, which is 5.0 per annum instead of 5.0 per annum instead of 5.5 per annum. People's credit funds and microfinancial institutions shall apply the maximum short-term loan interest rate in VIEND, which is 6.0 per annum instead of 6.5 IS per annum. Decision, no. 314 QD-NHNN takes effect on March 15, 2023. The interest rate applied to credit contracts and loan agreements signed before March 15, 2023 shall continue to be implemented under the signed credit contracts and loan agreements in accordance with the law at the time of contract and agreement signing. Also, on March 14, 2023, the State Bank of Vietnam issues the decision, no. 313 QD-NHNN on the refinancing interest rate, rediscount interest rate, overnight lending interest rate, and interbank electronic payment and lending to offset the capital shortage in the clearing. Accordingly, the State Bank of Vietnam shall adjust the interest rates as follows. The refinancing interest rate is 6 per annum as before. The rediscount interest rate is 3.5 per annum instead of 4.5 per annum. The overnight lending interest rate and interbank electronic payment and lending to offset the capital shortage in the clearing of the State Bank of Vietnam for credit institutions. Foreign bank branches is 6.0 C per annum instead of 6.0 per annum, Decision, no. 313 QD-NHNN takes effect on March 15, 2023. Government approves 6 solutions for removing difficulties for real estate market. On March 11, 2023, the government issues Resolution No. 33 and CP on a number of solutions to remove difficulties for and promote safe, healthy, sustainable development of the real estate market. Currently, the real estate market situation has seen changes, but still faces many difficulties related to institutions, credit sources, bonds, etc., and local implementation, which needs to be removed. The government uniformly directs all levels, sectors, and localities as follows. Build up a legal system related to construction, investment, housing, and real estate business toward completeness and feasibility, focusing on expeditiously developing and submitting to the National Assembly for consideration and approval the Land Law, amended, the Law on Housing, amended, the Law on Real Estate Business, amended, the Law on Bidding, amended, the Law on Bidding, amended, the Law on Bidding, amending and supplementing decrees guiding the implementation of the laws in order to remove current shortcomings, obstacles, and difficulties related to construction, investment, business, and transfer of real estate project. Accelerating social housing development, the government actively studying, formulating, and submitting to the National Assembly for consideration and promulgation a resolution of the National Assembly on piloting a number of policies to promote the development of social housing, quickly completing, promulgating, and effectively implementing the investment project of building at least 1 million social housing apartments for low-income people and industrial park workers in the period 2021-2030. Determining investment in social housing development for low-income workers as an investment item in the medium and long-term capital sources of localities. To support capital for social housing development, proposing a credit program of about 120,000 billion to grant loans for investors and home buyers of social housing and worker housing projects, with interest rates about 1.5, though lower than the average midterm and long-term vending interest rate. Credit capital. Creating conditions for enterprises, home buyers, and investors to quickly access credit sources. Taking appropriate measures to tackle difficulties that face real estate enterprises, such as rescheduling principal loans, interest, restructuring debt groups. Taking appropriate and effective measures to reduce lending interest rates and support the real estate market. Corporate bonds sourced. Controlling capital raising activities of real estate enterprises on the stock market to prevent speculation, price manipulation, and hiking. Inspecting and overseeing the compliance with the law on issuance, investment, and provision of services on corporate bonds, especially private placement of bonds by real estate enterprises, implementation organization by localities, stepping up reform of administrative procedures, focusing on removing difficulties in legal procedures for real estate projects in the localities, ramping up approval of planning, approval of investment policies, selection of investors to execute real estate projects, and land-related financial obligations to increase supply for the market, accelerating the development of social housing and workers' housing and renovating and rebuilding old apartment buildings in the localities. Information and communication to restore trust. aiding the market and the operation of real estate enterprises. Forthcoming 7 laws. 4 decrees have effects on real estate market. On March 11, 2023, the government issues Resolution No. 33 and CP on a number of solutions to remove difficulties for and promote safe, healthy, sustainable development of the real estate market. Accordingly, the government will continue to study and improve the institution and build up a legal system related to construction investment, housing, and real estate business toward completeness and feasibility, focusing on expeditiously developing and submitting to the National Assembly for consideration and approval the Land Law amended, the Law on Housing amended, the Law on Real Estate Business amended, the Law on Bidding amended, the Law on Bidding amended, the Law on Bidding amended, actively studying, formulating, and submitting to the National Assembly for consideration and promulgation a resolution of the National Assembly on piloting a number of policies to promote the development of social housing, expeditiously amending and supplementing decrees guiding the implementation of the laws in order to remove current shortcomings, obstacles, and difficulties related to construction investment, business, and transfer of real estate project. The decree amends and supplements a number of articles of the decrees in the field of state management by the Ministry of Construction in order to remove difficulties and obstacles related to the execution of real estate projects, be more suitable to the actual situation, and ensure the consistency and synchrony of the legal system. The decree amending and supplementing decrees guiding the implementation of the land law in order to remove difficulties and problems related to land procedures, land valuation, and issuance of certificates of land use rights and ownership rights for non-residential real estate. Decree amending and supplementing the decree detailing and guiding the implementation of a number of articles of the investment law, stipulating the process, order, and procedures for executing investment projects on the construction of commercial houses and urban quarters so that localities can conveniently and uniformly execute these projects. Besides, localities need to immediately issue regulations, guidelines, and solutions for problems falling under their decision-making authority. Report problems falling under the deciding competence of the government or the Prime Minister to the latter for consideration and decision. 3 road traffic services for international competitive bidding. On March 7, 2023, the Minister of Transport issues Circular No. 1/2023 TT-BTC on guidelines for production, approval, and announcement of the list of projects, methods, and criteria of bid and proposal evaluation in bidding for investors of road traffic service works. Accordingly, national competitive bidding for road traffic service works shall be carried out when: firstly, projects under lines of business are not granted market access for foreign investors in accordance with investment laws. Secondly, projects have at least 2 investors satisfying initial requirements for capacity and experience, and there are no foreign investors applying for project execution or satisfying initial requirements for capacity and experience. Thirdly, projects demand national security and defense assurance as decided by the Prime Minister in accordance with the request of the competent authority and consent of the Ministry of National Defense with regard to national defense requirements or consent of the Ministry of Public Security with regard to security requirements. Besides, assurance about competitiveness in bidding, uploading of bidding information in a prompt manner, time requirements in the investor selection process, and expenditure in the investor selection process shall comply with regulations in Decree No. 25/2010, Key and Decree No. 35/2021 CEP. Storage of information in bidding and teams of experts shall comply with regulations in Decree No. 25/2020 10EP. This circular takes effect on 5/1/2023.
Thank you for reading our legal document updates and for trusting in our services.